Christy Hartman. I'm here with another informative video for you. This one is all about stencils. This is a stencil I'm particularly fond of. This is a Creative Arts Lifestyle stencil. This is called Colonial Mosaic, and the number is STCL692_1. Another stencil that I love and use very frequently is a Decoart stencil. This is an Andy Skinner stencil, and this is called Alphabet Spaghetti. And the number of this one is Andy 100-K. Another company that I absolutely love is Stencil Girl. Stencil Girl has so many wonderful, interesting stencils, all different sizes and shapes. These are 9 by 12. This one I know is Random Circles, and this is number L071. This one I believe is called Circles Overlapping, and this is L777. And for some reason I think this one is Circles, and this is L301. I'm going to use tonight some Decoart paints for this print in both the Decoart Americana and the Premium. So we're going to start on our 5 by 7 inch plate. This is a base layer of tangerine. Again, any light orange would work. And we're just getting some color onto our paper. I'm using a piece of white scrapbooking paper. Pull it up. Perfect. Let's take some Tangelo, which is just a darker orange. And I'm going to take this overlapping circles, lay it down. I'm going to take a clean piece of paper right here, and I'm going to lay it right over the top of that and try to remove as much of that paint as I possibly can. Okay, pretty good. I'm going to grab one more piece of white paper just to see how much more of that paint I can remove. Not a lot, but a little. I'm going to grab a piece of deli paper and just see if I can remove any more of that paint. Pull this up. I'm going to lay this down on top of my tangerine, and I'm going to hope that I didn't work too long and I can pull up this paint. Yeah, it's coming up pretty good. Great. I was able to pull up quite a bit of that paint. Next I'm going to use my Pyrrole Red from my Premium. I'm going to lay down this Random Circles, and I'm going to mention to you that any circle stencil that you have will work just fine for this process. What you want to look for, now this one has areas of large and small circles, and I like that about this one. I would say look for areas that you have got a decent amount of space to print from. Really, really small circles isn't always advantageous on the gel plate. Perfect. That's a great looking print, this one. I think I'll use this one because I'm just going to use it as a pull-up print. Yeah, I got a little bit up of it. Pull this up. I'm going to place this right over the top of this print. And I'm going to let that sit. I wanted to use something on this print to kind of make this so that it was a usable print, and I thought we'd use this stencil. So I'm going to use my Golden Open. This is Indian Yellow. I'm going to lay this stencil down over the top of that Indian yellow. Take my print. I'm kind of trying to line it up as well as I can. Ooh, nice. I like that. Have a little bit of paint left on this. I'll pull it off with a piece of deli paper. Pull this off, and I'm going to print this on a clean piece of paper. Just like that. Let's do a reveal. Okay, let's pull this print. Let's do the big reveal. Okay, that's not a bad print either. Let's talk about one of my very favorite stencils. This is an Andy Skinner mixed media stencil, and this is by Decoart. And I want that almost wood block look to this. So let's start with our Payne's Gray. Depending upon how dark I want my letters to be, should be determined by how much paint you use. I'm going to lay this down, and I have to lay this down so that my letters, when looking at me, are backwards, because I want them to print as if they're looking forwards. I'm going to take a clean piece of paper. I'm going to remove as much of that paint as I possibly can. Okay. Now I want to have a little bit of this left on my plate so I get that wood block look. So I'm going to be careful when I pull this up this time to try and leave just a little bit of paint in between my stencil. So I'm not rubbing very hard, I'm just kind of gently rubbing over the top of this. And I'm going to check. Okay, I'm going to pull my stencil off, and then the stencil image is actually going to remain on my plate. I managed to leave a little bit of that Payne's Gray on my plate, so it's going to give it that look of being almost a wood block. Okay, I'm going to let that sit. All right, it's time to reveal this. Good, I like that. That looks great. Another thing that I love to use, and I use them regularly, are Tupperware Doilies. This, I believe, is, I think this is maybe an 8-inch diameter doily. You can buy these on Etsy, you can get them off eBay, you can also find them occasionally in secondhand stores. These have become very, very popular with artists. I'm going to talk a little bit about cutting your own masks to use on your gel plate. These are a couple of different masks that I've used that I'm very fond of. These were simply leaves that I found out in nature that I brought home. I put them into my plant press, pressed them out, and then I traced around them on paper and cut them out of stencils. This is one that I'm going to demonstrate tonight. These were lupin leaves that I just thought had a lot of potential. So let's talk for just a minute about cutting these masks so that you have something that is just completely your own to use on your gel plate. My favorite to use are pieces of plastic, just like this. They're just plastic file folders. I order them on Amazon. I like to take my piece of plastic and I put my line art illustration taped onto the back of my piece of plastic. I then use one of my Posca pens and I actually draw right around my illustration. And if I want to make any changes, I certainly can. I just made a change down here. I can remove my illustration and I can cut with my craft knife. all the way around this. This actually is a little more intricate than the one I'm going to demonstrate with here in a few minutes. I wanted to show you something different than what I was actually going to use. I can test it to see how it's going to punch out. And if I need to make any adjustments with my cutting, I certainly can. Okay, there we have it. I thought I'd print this for you so you could see how it printed. I'm just using a little bit of Pyrrole Red, and I'm using a print that I had. Lay this mask down on top. I'm going to place this right over the top of this print. And that's a pretty nice print. I like that. Let's remove some more of this paint. And one more time, I think. Let's pull this up and off. Actually, I like that. That looks kind of nice. Big reveal. And pretty decent looking print using just a mask. I'm going to use a little bit of gold. I'm going to place a piece of punchinella right over the top of it. I'm going to use a little bit of deli paper. Remove as much of that paint as I can. And remove that piece of punchinella, and I think I'm not going to put it on that, but I think I'll put it on this one. And again, it will be very, very subtle. I don't know if you can see that. Pull it off. Again, it is very, very subtle, but there's a little bit of gold on there. Let's use Pyrrole Red and our leaf shape. I'm going to place our leaf right down onto the gel plate. And I'm not too concerned if it's off the plate a little bit. And I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to lay my paper down so I can turn this over and I can line up run right over the top. Try and get as much of that paint off of there as I possibly can. And I'm going to use a piece of deli paper. I'm going to pull up some more of that paint. There we go. I'm going to pull this up, and I could lay this down on something and get another little impression from that. But I'm going to use this one and lay that down right over the top. Okay, this one will have to sit for a minute or two. So while we wait for that, let's do a second print. Let's use the same paint color, the Pyrrole Red. Let's use these small leaves, and I can just randomly put them on here. And I'm just adjusting them. These are pretty well stuck on there. So I'm going to turn this over, lay my print down, put that right over the top. Pull that off. It's a little different print. I'll grab some deli paper, see if I can get some more of that paint off of there. Pull these off. Grab another background. Position this. Here's some other examples of the types of prints that I've done using that technique. You can see that this was kind of an ivory background. Put my cobalt teal on, a little bit of quin gold right here, and then pyrrole red in this one. So this one has multiple layers. This one just has two. This one has multiple layers as well. Here's another one which has more of a yellowish colored background with the alphabet and also the quin gold in the background. And this one as well. Using some of these as an overlay. So this was Creative Arts Lifestyle stencil. This is a piece of Punchinello, and then I also have this. So I think what we'll do is we'll do just a couple of them, just so you can see. And I think we'll do an overlay over the top of these two. Start with this. I'm going to put some gold down on my gel plate. Let's lay this down over the top. Because the Tupperware doily is thicker, it tends to get down in between the areas of the design. I'm going to clean piece so I can actually see what I'm doing here. And I use the golden ochre specifically so I had some time to get all of this out. And let's see if I can do one more. Let's pull that off. Let's layer, print, down, position this right over the top. Okay, that'll have to sit. Let's see if this is ready to pull. And it is. Looks good. That's a good print. Let's use this Creative Arts Lifestyle. We're going to just add a little bit of gold to it. Again, depending upon how dark or how much paint you add to your plate will determine how dark your image is. I'm just going to use a piece of paper to pick up all this gold because I don't want that paint to go to waste. And we'll pick up the remainder with a little bit of deli paper. Okay, let's pull that up. Place this down. And it is fairly subtle. It's not, I don't know if you can see that. Alright, when they're ready to pull, I'll be back. A couple prints to share with you. I have this one. This one, you can see all that gold. And then this one is more subtle. It's very, very subtle.